Hey everybody, this is the Zot Man, or Imperial Man 100, depending on which channel of mine you're watching this on, and I'm here to review Red vs. Blue Season 13. It just had its season finale tonight, so with all of those episodes out, and with the fact that I've watched the whole season, it is an excellent opportunity for me to review the whole season. Now, I should first start off by saying that I wasn't a huge fan of the Chorus trilogy as a whole. I felt like after the 10th season, Red vs. Blue had finally kind of, come full circle and had a great close there at the end of season 10. It, tied up most of those loose ends and brought the story to a really, really good conclusion. So when I started watching season 11, I guess I was expecting a complete continuation of the Project Freelancer saga, and as you can imagine, I was pretty disappointed when I realized that that wasn't what it was. At least in season 11, it was a lot of that traditional Blood Gulch Chronicles comedy. There wasn't really much story going on. It had its really funny moments, but other than that, it was just kind of boring. It is a fun season to watch with friends, I think. Season 12, Season 12 is a slight improvement over Season 11, but I still had some problems with it, especially with the pacing issues, and it felt kind of stretched out, it felt a little too long, and the fight scenes were honestly, I hate to say it, but the animated fight scenes were embarrassing. Um, it was a terrible it was just a terrible step back from what we got to see in seasons 9 and 10 in terms of the quality of the fight scenes. Now, I will say I understand that Monty Ohm was not working on those fight scenes in season 12, and this was actually when they were working on season 12. This was still at a time when Monty Ohm was with us. Um, in season 13 on the other hand, it was definitely an improvement. I felt like this season made watching the entire Chorus trilogy worth it. I would probably recommend people who have watched the Project Freelancer saga, I would probably recommend the Chorus trilogy to them just so that they can get to this season, because it is absolutely worth watching. Does it still have its problems? Yes. But, on the other hand, it still has some amazing improvements. One thing I would like to mention one thing I need to mention before I get into the details is that this review does have spoilers, so if you have not watched the season yet, please don't proceed. But basically, what we get in Season 13, obviously we get a direct continuation from Seasons 11 and 12. This is the conclusion of the Chorus trilogy, where the Reds and Blues are trying to help a New Republic, as they call them, a band of rebels called the New Republic. They're trying to fight against Felix and Locus, who are leaders of an army called the Feds, who are trying to take over Chorus, and they are being led by Chairman Argrove, I believe. Yeah, Chairman Argrove, and he was actually the chairman that we first got to at least hear his voice from in Season 6. He was actually responsible for the arrest of Director Leonard Church in Season 6. Agent Washington was assigned by him to get the Epsilon storage unit in Season 7, and now he's back basically as the big boss. I thought that was a really pleasant surprise in the post-credits ending of Season 12. It was also a really cool surprise to hear that he had Agent Maine's armor. I thought that was really neat, too. And that he was promising this armor to the one who basically deemed himself worthy to the chairman, who was able to get the job done. We get to see some familiar characters, such as the counselor from season 6 through 10. Except this time we get to know his name. His name is Aiden Price, and he's back. And I thought that was a really pleasant surprise because I loved the character of the counselor. I thought his voice was real creepy, as a really cool, creepy tone, and he was pretty good this season. I liked that callback to the Project Freelancer saga. I liked his involvement with Locus's character development as he's explaining the history of the meta to him and how Agent Main went from this soldier who obeyed orders without question to this monster controlled by the AI fragment Sigma, who is voiced by Elijah Wood in Season 10. So if you guys haven't checked that out yet, please do. Elijah Wood was amazing as Sigma. We also got another we also got to see another familiar face, except this time we actually get to see his real human face. We got to see Sharkface in this season. He was in Season 9, when Caroline and Wash were breaking into the vault. He was the one with this big flamethrower, and he comes back with a flamethrower in another, in another form, which I thought was really cool. The fight animation in this season was just a million times better than anything we saw in Season 12, and in some ways, it sounds a little crazy for me saying this, but in some ways I thought it was better than some of the fight animation we saw in Seasons 8, 9, and 10. Now, I think Monty Oum was a fantastic animator. He made some incredible fight scenes, but I felt like the fight scenes this time around made it really feel like they were fighting. I really felt this sense of tension, and part of that was because of the settings they were fighting in too, because there would be these obstacles in the settings, like they would be fighting in in an ice setting, or they'd be fighting in a setting where there's like moving platforms that could easily decapitate you or something like that. It was really, really cool to see just how much dedication the animators had to the fight scenes this season. I thought that was great. The story, it was pretty slow at the beginning, which is actually typical for a Red vs. Blue season. I didn't really expect to get much, wow out of the first couple episodes of the season, but as the season progressed, it got a lot better. And it got more engaging. I started to get more excited for each episode, every week. And while the season may not be the funniest season in Red vs. Blue, Caboose had some phenomenal moments this season with some hilarious lines. The last two episodes in particular had, a phenomenal Caboose moment that had me laughing really hard. So, points to Joel Heyman for that, and points to the animators in one particular part in episode 19. I thought Felix's fate was pretty fitting, but at the same time, the music almost made it sound like the death was pretty sad, which was weird. But I thought Felix's fate was very satisfying, considering how much of a jerk he is, and the twist with Locust being the chosen one to to use the sword was really cool too, and I liked Locust's character development there. I really didn't think he was all that great of a villain. He seemed kind of one-dimensional to me until now, until this season. The season proved that Rooster Teeth, that Miles Luna can take these characters and make something really big out of them. So, really happy about that, really satisfied. But now I have to mention the ending. The ending gives me, I'm really kind of split over the ending because we get this big speech from Epsilon at the very end of the season, which reminds us again that ultimately Red vs. Blue is about church. But Epsilon, and again, big spoiler coming up, Epsilon dies at the end of the season, right before a big fight scene is about to begin that we never get to see happen. And I feel like the whole thing with Tucker using the Meta's armor in the end just didn't matter because we didn't get to see him use it. So all this build-up with the Meta's armor and it not really amounting to much was really disappointing. But other than that, this was a really really good season. It was tight too. I felt like Miles Luna had written all the scripts for the episodes for the season before they started production, and that's a really good thing. I like that a lot. So, out of 5 stars, I would probably give this season a solid 4. Whereas seasons 11 and 12 would kind of range between like, maybe 2 and 4. So, I'm really happy that this season was a vast improvement over the last 2. I'll be interested in seeing what season 14 holds, because I heard that they're going to be going back to their original roots with the Blood Gulch Chronicles, so we'll see how that goes. And that is my review for Red vs. Blue Season 13, and I will see you guys in the next review.